It's time for Aggrochat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belghast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, I'm going through the nonsense of uploading the past episodes that were missing from YouTube to YouTube, and this is episode number 5, where we introduce Dallian for the very first time, and talk about a whole lot of topics, including Wildstar. Anyway, I return you to the past. Hey everybody, it's that time again for another episode of Aggrochat. This will be our 5th episode, and today is a little bit of a weird one. Right now we have both Kodra and Ashgar traveling, and they're not available. Not even Robot Kodra from a hotel room. So it's Ray and I, and tonight we are joined by a good friend of ours, Dallian, who's been in the Stalwart group for a very long time. How long have you been with us, Dal? I don't remember.
I have no idea. Like, before Wrath of the Lich King and WoW, so like Old War.
Yeah, but it's weird because you date back even further than that, because you date back to Late Night Raiders.
Okay,
Briefly.
I did like a couple of runs with those guys.
So you know, you've been in our circles for the majority of World of Warcraft, and then every game since then.
Yeah.
And you're also a local, kind of.
I'm like a state away.
And we'll be extra local next week when you come to town to visit.
I am looking forward to Pirates and Munchkin.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Munchkin night, because we've got like several people lined up to come. I totally skipped over Ray. Hi, Ray.
Hi.
So yeah, this is going to be an unusual episode because we're kind of doing this impromptu and doing it on a Friday night instead of a Saturday night. So go
my
us.
Friday pants on.
Yeah, I was kind of confused when you said, let's do this tonight. I'm like, it's not Saturday, is it? Did I lose a day?
Well, okay, so the month of May is going to really suck. Like, this week, I have a graduation tomorrow for my nephew who's graduating college. And originally I thought it was going to be early in the day, and then we looked at the invitation last night, and it's 4 p.m., and it's like 2 hours away. So by the time you have a 4 p.m. graduation and a couple hours there, and then any kind of an after party, and then another 2 hours to drive, yeah, it would be like late tomorrow night when we get home. And I'm not really sure. Like, I know Ash is traveling to his sister's graduation, I believe. And then Kodra, I have no clue what he's doing. He may have joined the circus.
He's probably going to learn more about ServiceNow.
He's a big fan of ServiceNow.
I feel super guilty because my mom is getting her master's degree tomorrow, and I'm not there to see it.
On Mother's Day, you're not going to see your mother get her master's degree.
Okay, look, I didn't realize it was on Mother's Day weekend.
All right, no more cookies for you, sir.
No, you're like, okay, so I am used to being the bad child and always doing things wrong, but I'm totally going to use you as an example to my mother this weekend if she complains.
Okay, in my defense, my mom lives in New Hampshire. That's like an $800 trip.
Okay, you get a pass, okay, because New Hampshire to Arkansas is a really long ways.
Only if you know.
Hopefully you'll at least be there in spirit.
I will call her tomorrow.
Okay. Good son.
Electronic flowers.
So, a bunch of stuff this week. The biggest thing is that Wildstar has begun its open beta, which is a little weird because they're kind of doing this whole Pepsi taste test thing where they have said they have the best damn game on the market, and if you don't believe them, test it out.
And it's new Coke.
It's new Coke, yeah. So they're kind of goading people into trying the game. Before we started recording, Dal, you said you were playing Wildstar right now.
Yes, it is currently up on my monitor. I am playing it right now.
What do you think? Because I know what I think, but I'm curious what you think.
Okay, so all I've done is like the character creator, and which was nice. I like the way they did the character creator. And this game, like, it feels very WoW-like, but kind of Guild Wars 2-like. The controls remind me completely of Guild Wars 2. Like the active dodging system where you like double tap like whatever direction. But I haven't got really far. I'm on the first quest still.
Okay, so you haven't even left the ship.
No, I'm still on the ship, but I am a big guy with ram's horns.
You are an exile then, right?
Yes, I was trying to get a lizard, like Dr. Kurt Connors kind of look, but you have to have horns.
Yeah. I don't know, like, I feel like that game would have been better served with action combat to where it was more of a Elder Scrolls / Neverwinter style control scheme instead of like the WoW hotbar-y type combat, but I don't know. Like, I have so many mixed emotions about that game. I kind of like it, but at the same time I kind of don't, and I'm not really sure. But it seems like everybody and their brother's playing it this weekend.
I don't know. I like the graphics a little bit. Like, it's kind of corny, cartoonish, but I kind of like that. But I mean, I'm not like the hugest fan of the whole active dodging thing though, because I kind of suck at it.
Well, it's at least better now than it was, because like the things that it draws on the ground they call telegraphs, and they're actually more meaningful than they used to be. Like, there used to be just like big red dots on the ground, and now the dots have like shape to them, and based on the shape you can tell like what direction an attack may spin or what direction something's going to travel. So it's not bad. It's pretty cool. Like my Twitter feed and Google Plus and Nook and all those things are all full of pictures of people playing Wildstar right now. So I think it's doing okay, but then again, I don't know if it's doing okay or if this is just the traditional people have played Elder Scrolls for a month and are moving on, because apparently accounts just got billed today for Elder Scrolls, so it will be interesting to see how many people stick around afterwards.
I still have so much to do in Elder Scrolls. I'm going to be around for at least a little while longer.
Yeah, I'm wandering around right now as we record in Cold Harbor, and it's a massive zone.
Yeah, I have way too many games going on to even think about trying Wildstar.
I'm kind of in that situation myself. So, Ray, what have you been playing this week?
Well, it's mostly been ESO. I've been trying to get caught up after a week of trying to work up to the landmark competition, and I finally got my stuff submitted. And
that's good.
I'll probably be abstaining from that a little bit now that I have invested so much time in it. Trying to get my Dragon Knight caught up. She's finally passed my Templar level, and cool. Now I will get to experience all the content fresh, and I'm still having tons of fun with her. It's been a blast, pun intended.
So, since we're on the topic of Elder Scrolls and your Dragon Knight, you want to talk a little bit about what you did with your Dragon Knight that makes it so fun? Because, like, you went in a completely different direction than I ever would have gone with the Dragon Knight.
Yeah, and it was a little rocky to start off with because I've made 1 or 2 in the betas, but I never really got past level 3. And it's like, okay, I have fiery chains, I pull something close to me, and then what? Beat on it with a stick? But after a little more time looking past the first abilities in the trees, Ardent Flame, I'm currently using the middle 3, the Searing Strike, Fiery Flame Breath, and Lava Lash, on top of Burning Talons, which is over in the Draconic Power Tree. It's the second one. I morphed that to deal flame damage over time, and that actually is not an insignificant amount of damage. But just building, I've got the Lava Lash, Searing Strike, Burning Talons, and Engulfing Flames on my bar. I know those are the morph names, so I apologize if that's confusing at all.
Yeah, I have that problem too. Like, I remember what things are in their morph form, but I don't remember what the base ability is anymore.
Yeah. And then I've got the Molten Weapons, which I morphed into Igneous Weapons on my alternate bar, which is actually my Resto Staff. I have 2 sets of ability bars. I have 1 set which is Destruction Staff and Resto Staff for DPS, and then 1 set which is Destruction Staff and Resto Staff for healing. And in damage mode, my healing page has Inner Light, which is Mage Light morphed for more crit, mostly because I love the way it looks on my character. And I have it on both bars so I can tab back and forth without it disabling, because if you only have it on 1 bar, it'll go away. It was really annoying. And then I use Molten Weapons and Fire Rune, which is from the Mages Guild tree, because I figured, you place that on the ground, and then you don't have to have it on your bar anymore, so I flip into Resto Staff mode, drop it, and then proceed to murder. And I'm using the standard the fiery standard on both of them.
Cool.
I really underestimated that one at the beginning. I was like, man, I'm just going to use magma armor because it's going to do more damage. And then I actually read the ability.
Yeah, fiery standard is worth a lot of damage.
And plus, it reduces the damage you take and increases the damage you deal. And my entire build is all about getting more fire damage, more damage over time, more spell crit with it, more spell power. I don't even have any destruction staff abilities on my page. I'm using it purely for the fire damage on my basic attack.
Cool. Yeah, like that's a completely different build than my Dragonite, which is like full on tanky, but it seems to be working really well because like you're ripping through the levels now, and you're leveling far faster than we did on the original set of characters.
Yeah. Well, and part of it was because I've done everything so recently. I can skip through the text faster, and I know where to go to find things, and I know you put your disguise on here, and you need to touch the cat before you pet the sheep, and
yeah, I still feel like disguises are a trap, but
yeah, I was running around a little bit tonight in Alec here because it's like, why won't you let me in the house? Please let me. Oh wait.
Yeah, gotta have a disguise. Yeah, that frustrated me. Like I know exactly what quest you're on, and I'm like, oh, they gave me disguises. Right, those things I never ever use.
I try to use them, but like I'll inevitably just run into someone with the torch because I'm not paying attention, and boom, my disguise is gone.
Yeah.
I go out of my way not to use disguises. Like, I feel like I should just kill everything in my path.
Especially now that I have a set of armor that I like the appearance of. The disguises always make me feel like I'm running around in burlap. And
well,
it's important.
And some of the disguises do look kind of dopey.
Yeah. I can't wait until they implement the costume system where you can, build what you want your appearance to look like and just run around as that all the time.
And they did mention it like in one of the things recently, so hopefully that's still on its way.
Yes, but I've been enjoying running around in the heavy armor. I didn't. My entire mindset since the beta is, why would anybody run around in heavy armor if they're not going to be a tank?
Oh, heavy armor is amazing, and the amount of survival you have in heavy armor is so nice.
Yeah, I was having trouble getting into the character at first because I was trying to run around in light armor, thinking, "Oh, I'm going to be Magica Starve the whole time." And light armor
really
gets you extra spell crit. But yeah, I mean, I've got the Seducer set, which reduces my mana cost. I've got 2 rings and a neck piece, which reduce the mana cost of everything. On top of that, I'm magic at capped, even with my heavy armor on. So I'm perfectly fine in that department, and I rarely come close to dying. Every now and then, I do something particularly stupid, like take on a 2-dot boss with its 2-dot children.
Yeah.
I don't recommend that.
So I totally accidentally earlier soloed a group dungeon in Bankerai. and it took me a little while to realize I was in a group dungeon because like stuff was dying pretty easily, and then I got towards the end of it and it stopped dying quite so easily. But that's part of the problem of like I really wish the game had a mentoring system, or it somehow scaled down or scaled your level down to the level of like especially instance content, because at like 46 doing level 40 mobs were pretty trivial. So
yeah, well, I remember hearing people talking about it, and I went into the one in Stormhaven, and I thought to myself, man, there's a lot of mobs in these packs. This is a little tricky. I guess I just have to adjust what I'm doing.
Yeah, I didn't realize that's what that was at first. Like, I tried to do it solo, or not really solo, but with like the mob of people in the dungeon. But
I didn't even have people with me. I was like, this is a little tricky. I feel, maybe I'm not high enough level for this. No, I'm the same level as these guys. Oh.
Yeah, that's a group dungeon. I can usually tell by the size of the dungeon.
Yeah, and if you get a quest at the start.
Yeah,
that exactly happened to me. I don't know, last week, and I didn't know it was a group dungeon until somebody told me about an hour later.
Yeah,
I was like, why am I
hard?
dying so much? Yeah, I was like, why am I dying at like every single pull?
Well, like the one in Stormhaven too has like freaking a dozen bosses in it or something like that. It's insane.
Yeah, because you have to. It's part of the story quest. You go and you kill the different ones to avenge the orc lady.
Yeah. Okay, so Dal, what have you been playing?
Well, obviously Wildstar just today. Elder Scrolls Online, and because I hate myself, Dark Souls 2.
How is that going? Like, I remember seeing your screenshots when you're playing through the first one, and it looked like a painful game.
Well, okay, I haven't actually played it in a couple of days because every time I play that game, I want to throw my controller through my monitor. I'm not even to the first boss yet because the game is
Wow.
it is that frustrating.
So did they just ratchet it up significantly from the last one, or?
You know, I played the first one on the PS3, and I'm playing this one on my computer, so the controls are a little bit different for me. But it just feels like maybe I picked the wrong like class type that I'm not comfortable with it. But I die in like 3 hits, and
Wow.
everything kills me in 3 hits.
I've not really played that much of, like, I've played Demon Soul, not Dark Souls, and
Well,
I don't know how differently that game is, but
I heard Demon Souls was harder than Dark Souls, but I never played it myself. I know that Dark Souls, the last one, it took me a couple months to beat it because I get stuck on a boss for 2 weeks at a time. Just like literally one boss.
I've heard that game is like, it's got massive skill caps. Like, so basically, once you figure out how to down the boss, you'll be able to down it from that point on. But there's a lot of, like, a steep learning curve for trying to down the individual encounters.
Yes, but the one thing that they did differently in this one is that in Dark Souls 1, every time you died, every mob in that area would respawn. Just forever and ever
Wow.
and ever. In this one, it's the same thing. When you die, they respawn, but I think it's like after 15 times or so, they'll stop respawning.
So you can eventually brute force your way through a level?
Yeah, you could eventually brute force your way through it. And the reason they did that is because people were farming. When the enemies die, they give you souls, and you use those souls to get your levels.
So you could do the whole Diablo thing where you just log out and then it respawns the entire level. And
yeah, and you don't even have to die to actually respawn the level. They have the fires, the bonfires that you save at. You just go and you use the bonfire and resummon every creature in the area and just go kill them, come back, and rinse and repeat.
So there was the ability to grind your way up through doing that. Yeah.
And I am guilty. I did that on the first game. I spent 10 hours running the same little small area over and over and over again until I was levels and levels and levels above the boss.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't kill it.
Some of those games you got to do that in. Like, I mean, there's been many a Final Fantasy game where I got to a boss that I just could not down, and I had to grind over and over and over until finally I could beat the encounter. So, I mean, I don't know. That's kind of the mindset of that style of game, because there's probably a lot of players that did that.
Well, here's the thing: is like one of my friends does videos on it, and she does a lot of PvP. And people, I don't know, it was like a week, 2 weeks after the game came out, people already had a save game hack that they had infinite health.
Wow.
And I mean, I can kind of see, if you're playing by yourself, that that's one thing, and I wouldn't do that myself, but to go in another person's game with infinite health to do PvP is kind of unfair.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Now,
I don't get how the PvP even works in those games. Like, I keep hearing about that, but I can't quite grok exactly what. I mean, how does that work? Like, are you just going online against other players, or
you die?
Yeah, it's just like a 1v1, death match, like whoever dies first. But the thing is, it takes place in your game, like wherever you're at. So if you're right before boss and somebody invades your game and they kill you, you got to do the whole area again.
Wow, that's painful.
It's brutal. And here's the thing, at least on the PC version, there's no menu option to log out. So you literally have to start Steam in offline mode to play offline to keep people from doing that.
Okay, that's horrible. Wow.
Now, I don't know if it's the same on the consoles. I remember on the PS3, there was a menu option to disable that.
Yeah, that's another reason for me to never play that game.
Yeah, like, if that shit happened, it would happen exactly once, and I would stop playing.
It would happen to me exactly once on the PS3, and that's why I turned it off.
Yeah, that's not a thing I would ever care to do.
I played on a WoW PvP server exactly once for a Saturday, and I have never played on one since.
I mean, I'm a Care Bear. I can't put that forward anymore. Like, I mean, this coming Wednesday we're gonna have like a Cyrodiil night, and you know what? That's fine. That doesn't bother me so much because there's a lot of stuff out there other than just PvP to do, and primarily we'll be focused on getting like sky shards and stuff for people. And if we happen to get into PvP, we happen to get into PvP, but I am just not wired for PvP.
See,
Yeah.
I don't mind PvP in the upfront let's fight each other mode, or even here's my mob of people, there's your mob of people, let's fight. It's the whole underhanded backstabbing, I'm going to catch you when you're not expecting it, or I'm going to screw with your game on purpose and there's nothing you can do about it, and now you have more work, or you have to pay more money to get repaired, etc. That's the kind of behavior that completely turns me off.
So, speaking of that, I played some ArcheAge, or ArcheAge, I think is how it's pronounced correctly. The Korean relocalized to US new Tryon game. And yeah, that game is very griefy. Like, people take pleasure in griefing in that game. And what's weird about it is it's not just a PvP type griefing. There's a lot of ways to screw somebody over without actually flagging and attacking yourself. Like, for the most part, like for the first several levels of the game, it's your standards theme park type game as you walk through quests. And you come to this point where you're given a rowboat, and it's legitimately a boat. You can put it down anywhere there's water and control it yourself, and you can go explore the world in this thing if you so choose, albeit very slowly. Well, it tells you to cross this bay, and so you go down to the shore and you put your rowboat in. Well, there's players just sitting there in huge boats doing nothing but trying to capsize the poor little newbie characters as they try and cross this bay. And if they capsize you, you literally can drown. So it's technically not PvP, but it was totally griefy. And I somehow managed to navigate my way around these giant boats and get to the other shore. But they almost capsized me a couple times, and I don't know, that kind of griefing just kind of annoys me.
Have you seen any of their live streams or recorded one? Did you watch the one yesterday?
No, but I've seen a lot of the high seas piracy type stuff from several of the streamers.
Okay, so yesterday they displayed the fact that you can actually attack and kill a player's mount.
Oh yeah, totally, and you can knock them off.
Yeah,
and
I wasn't sure how I felt about that.
You get crime points for doing it, I think, but you can totally knock somebody off. I mean, like, they won't be flagged, but you can kill their mount and knock them off of it. Now, I think you can pretty much just resummon the mount immediately, but...
No, you have to go to like a stable and pay to have your pet revived if you don't have the
Oh, that's horrible. Yeah, that's some craziness. That's frustrating.
Yeah, there was a whole... they actually had it on their stream that somebody came up and attacked somebody's horse and killed it.
Well, there's like all kinds of weird shit you can do. Like, there's these tractors, and there's all kinds of griefy things you can do with a tractor by pushing people off cliffs and yeah, I don't know. There's a way that you can, like, you remember how you used to be able to do in Minecraft where you could, like, put the pigs for a ride in your mine carts? Well, there's a thing you can do with, like, these tractors where, like, if you hit them just right, they'll actually hop up on the tractor, and then you can, like, drag it all around the world without the player really knowing what's going on. Like, so if somebody AFKs, you can hit them with this tractor and pop them up into it and drag them around. So there's all sorts of non-combat griefing techniques in that game. And that's, I don't know, personally that's one of the things that concerns me. Like, the actual combat of the game is really freaking fun. Like, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I played, like, a combination of, battle rage and defense and occultism, which was the dark Doom Lord. So it's basically like a Shadow Knight or a Death Knight.
I was playing with the I don't know. I found a German-based talent calculator, and I don't know if it's going to be the same name in the U.S. version, but I cannot remember the combination of the three trees. But it was the class was Angel of Death, and if I could play that game and get that, that'd be like I just personally thought it was the best class name ever.
Now, a lot of them are different. Like the Doom Lord in the Korean version was called Dark Knight, I think. So yeah, the names are slightly different, but the abilities are the same. But I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about the game yet. Like, I plan on playing it some more, and I plan on streaming it some more, but part of the problem was like I struggled to stream it. Like, I tried 3 or 4 different ways, and none of it really worked that well.
I tried right when I tried to watch your stream last night is right when you stopped doing it. Like literally 1 minute later, like, I can't get this to work. I'm done.
Well, yeah. So the problem was, see, the first way I did it, I tried it full screen windowed, and the game kept crashing on me. Then I tried it through this tool called Dextery, which I've never quite gotten to work correctly. And it was working beautifully for a little bit, and then I changed one setting somewhere, and then it won't work again. So I don't know, but it's an interesting game.
The whole thing reminds me of EVE Online, and I tried it out.
It's very much a fantasy EVE. Like, that's exactly what it would remind me of.
I tried EVE with that 14-day trial, and I did not make it past that 14-day trial because I got tired of people murdering my ship.
Yeah, and like, so supposedly there are areas you can stay where you're relatively safe, but even in those areas, people can still come in and ruin your day.
Yeah.
And it seems like right now that the community is very much enjoying ruining players' days.
Yeah, and that's not a community I feel like investing time in.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like, I said this, I think, in my morning blog post, but like, I think the only way that would ever work for me is if they like opened up a patron-only server to where you actually had to pay to get access. Since this is going to be a free-to-play game, but that might not have as griefy a community. Because the big thing is like, there's a lot to that game, and I totally think like the Star Wars Galaxy player will like this game because you can build like towns, and there's all kinds of super detailed crafting, and I think it's got a lot going for it, and it's definitely interesting, and the world is pretty, and the combat is interesting. It's just the community right now is a massive turnoff.
Yeah, everything I've seen about the game, other than the PvP, I would love that game. But then there's the PvP.
Yeah,
and like you said, the people being jerks.
I remember. Sorry,
go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna change the topic, sort of. I remember when I was playing Ragnarok Online, I was playing on a private server, so it was free, and anybody could come in and play. You had people from range like age 9 to probably age 27 was the highest. It was just a different community. I thought, I'm never going to play a pay-to-play game if I'm going to, have this much fun playing a free-to-play game. But when I made the transition to WoW, the difference in the quality of the game and the quality of the community was instantly noticeable.
Yeah, like, free games, they're really rough. Like, I mean, there's a lot of griefy players when games are free. And
because you don't have anything to lose.
Yeah, you got nothing to lose. You can just roll another account and come right back in. So that's another reason why I am not against the subscription model. Because to some extent, it creates a line in the sand that you have to be this tall to ride this ride, and it keeps out some of the bad element. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't keep all the bad element, because there are definitely players that are willing to pay to be griefy, but it keeps some of it out.
It's a significant deterrent.
Yeah, I mean, when you make an ass of yourself, and there's, your initial $50 investment plus however long you paid monthly fees on the line of you potentially getting banned, people are less willing to do horrible things.
I remember back in the day on WoW when, like, if you did something really horrible on the server, people would, shame you on the forums.
Oh, totally. And, that had its own problems, but to some extent, I miss the era of social accountability of somebody's actions. Like, if you did enough bad on the server, you became a social pariah and could not function. And, the server kind of took care of its own. And I think the social justice system in ArcheAge is supposed to take care of that. But the problem is it's actually kind of backfiring. Everyone is trying to be a pirate. So they're trying to do as bad as they can so they get jail terms which unlocks like the crime aspect, so they can be in pirate guilds and stuff like that.
I don't know why, but that makes me think of the Booty Bay pirate, blood cell pirates.
Oh yeah.
And people
Yeah.
would go around and like murder the NPCs, like the quest giver NPCs. That's what I'm thinking of with people trying to be pirates in
Yeah,
ArcheAge.
totally. That's kind of what it feels like. So
Especially when the achievements came out.
Yeah. Oh, Rylicus, Mr. Insanity I can't believe the way he did that though. Like the fact that he raised both at the same time so that he was exalted with both.
Is that even possible?
Yeah, it totally
Yes.
was. He had this whole method of doing it to where he would kill goblins to where it would drop him one faction level, then he would go into Dire Maul and farm it over and over and over, doing that not Thimblejack quest where you turn in the leather and stuff to make the ogre suit.
Oh god.
Because you got a faction hit from each of the goblins factions, and he would do that hundreds upon hundreds of times to raise his goblin faction back up again. Then he would go out and kill goblins again and do that over and over and over, and he did it for like a solid year. And like, in order to get the insane title, you don't have to have exalted with both at the same time. You have to have had exalted with one and then gain exalted with the other.
So
But
basically,
he totally did it the hard way.
Yeah, if you thought grinding to exalted with one was hard, this was like 10 times worse.
Because he literally spent probably 2 full years doing this, and then he finally hit it, and he got his insane title. But yeah, it's
fitting.
He really is insane. Okay, so ArcheAge was part of the week, and I of course played some ESO, and I am technically playing it right now. But the other game that I played quite a bit of this week was Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's May the 4th did it. I blame May the 4th because they were giving away this completely adorable astromech droid to all characters that logged in during May the 4th. And yeah, I kind of got to playing, and with my allergies being what they are, I needed something that didn't require a lot of brain power. And no offense to Tor, but it's kind of a mashy type game, and I didn't really have to think about it. And like in ESO, I have to be careful about what I do for fear that I'll die.
Yeah.
And Tor was easier, so I don't know. I played quite a bit of it this week, and I actually really enjoyed it. It still has the problems that it has, but it was enjoyable.
For just piddling around.
Yeah, for piddling around. It kind of scratched the WoW-like itch, but was different than WoW, which is kind of what I was looking for. Also kind of wanting to play some Rift, since they just released the 4 new souls.
Or did they?
So you have a cleric support, a pure rogue healer, a warrior healer, and a mage tank, I believe.
Yeah.
But I haven't really gotten to play with them much. But
every game needs a mage tank.
Like, I think that's such a cool concept. Like, I don't know.
I'm a tank mage.
So the other idea I was thinking about this week was, what if you had an MMO that was like kind of like Dragon Age, so that as you play through the game, as you meet all these NPCs, you actually kind of collect a stable of characters that you can call for aid. But difference being, so say you had a group and you needed a tank. Well, instead of having like an off spec, you could just summon one of these avatars and you would assume all of their powers. So you basically would have a basic tanking kit or a basic healing kit while you're driving this other character. And it wouldn't be optimized, and it wouldn't be like as good as a player spec, but it would be good enough to get by.
Kind of reminds me of a fighting game.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of like dual boxing in a way. Like you'd have 2 control setups on your screen.
No, you would just assume, like, so instead of playing your character,
you become that person.
You would become this named character from the campaign. Like, so you would become, in the case of like ESO, you would become what the hell? God, what's the rogue that I can't think of the name of right now?
Crafty Larissa?
Oh, yeah, Crafty Larissa, for example. You could be Crafty Larissa and get all of her abilities, or, you could be
Naramo.
Naramo, or, like in a WoW type game, you could be, any one of the named characters, and it would have a specific playstyle. So it'd be almost like collecting champions from League of Legends, but you would take over that player for the purpose of this group, and
instant tank or instant healer.
yeah, instant tank, instant healer, and you wouldn't have any control over it other than this is the hotbar that you get with this character, but it would be just good enough to get through. And that would let anyone fill any role. I don't know.
And then you just need 4 people to do a dungeon, and
Just any 4 people, so they could all alias out to these avatars if they wanted to, and you would still gain gear like your main character, but it would solve the problem of, nobody wants to play a tank or nobody wants to play a healer.
Yeah. Well, mainstream at least.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would like to see mentoring in ESO, because all of my characters so far have been leveled up with a hybrid DPS, and for me it's been healing on my other bar, and it's been working out surprisingly well. Like, all of the classes can have a healing role. They have certain abilities that augment the stuff you get with the restoration staff. And if you could just do mentoring, then people would be able to switch between DPS and tanking, or DPS and healing.
Oh yeah, totally. Because I don't mind tanking these dungeons if I could do it like at level.
Get money, get experience.
Well, get gear for your alts, or
yeah. Oh yeah, the gear for the alts is great.
I'm that person. I think you guys mentioned it's like I don't know if it's the first podcast or not, or Bell, you mentioned it at some point. Asking for help to do dungeons.
Yeah.
I am the exact definition of the person who will never say anything about it, and just like, I have yet to do a full dungeon, and I'm level 31.
Aww.
Because I don't really pay attention to guild chat because I can't focus on it. So it's like I will probably never ever do a dungeon until I'm at level.
The thing
like
is
50.
the dungeons are really important though, because you get a skill point for every single one you do.
And really nice loot.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've gone into a couple, but I think the last time I went into one, it was still bugged, so you couldn't actually finish it.
Yeah.
That was Banished Cells. That one was broken forever.
Yeah.
Well, and like after a point, like I think it was the level 34-ish dungeons that I just didn't run because we never had a full group on at one time, or I was busy or someone else was busy. So there's a certain point at which I haven't run any dungeons past.
Yeah. I've done one of the level 31s and nothing beyond that.
Yeah, I did all 3 of the level 31s. It's whatever level is after the 31s.
I think it's 35-ish.
Yeah, I think so.
We should totally just do dungeons, because they're fun.
Yeah, and they're worth a skill point apiece, too, so...
Well, and I picked up the Resto staff on my Dragon Knight at level 15, so I could pug some groups. And it was surprisingly effective. Both the healing and the pug groups. I mean, we had one dungeon where we didn't actually have a tank, and we still managed to get through it.
I think that's more flexible, honestly, in this game. Is like, I think you can survive with like a sturdy DPS instead of a tank.
It was funny. We made it all the way to the last boss in Spindle Clutch, and we were standing there, and I was like, okay, who's actually the tank? Who's got the shield? Why is nobody wearing a shield? We have no tank. This is going to be painful.
But it was manageable.
Once. I was surprised.
It's the mad healing skills.
Dragon Knights make really good healers. Obsidian Shield is really nice, especially with the rest of staff abilities. Highly recommend it.
Yeah. I'm a fan of the Dragon Knight tank, but I don't know.
I'm a fan of any tank.
Pretty much. I've heard the Nightblade tank is one of the strongest, though, but it just takes a while to build into it.
And it's difficult to keep up.
Yeah, because they have really good... Eventually they have really good self-healing, so they end up almost like a Death Knight or a Shadow Knight, but I think at low levels they're definitely harder to heal because they don't have the raw defense. But
Templar's got a lot of really nice tanking abilities. I think Scott's going to be trying that out. That'll be fun to see him how he does with that.
I think he switched over to a Nightblade tank, didn't he?
He did say he was having more fun with his Nightblade.
Yeah. I don't know.
My opinion of the Templar has decreased significantly since I first played it.
I thought they were amazingly fun in beta, but I haven't really played one since.
Once you get into the role of having to, figure out a rotation of spells to use every single time you engage something, the spear just gets old.
Yep. So, other news this week seems to be like a trickle more of people are getting into Heroes of the Storm, which unfortunately not that many that we know are in yet.
The wrong people are getting into it.
I know. Like, I wish like all the members of our podcast were in. So Blizzard, if you're listening, that would be amazing because like I really want to play it as a team.
I want to post fan sites on the internet for you.
It's really fun. Like I like what I've done of it. It's just right now there's not enough people in, and the queues are really long.
That is one of those games I will probably never, ever play.
Aww.
I don't know. I've never actually played like League of Legends, so I don't know. I know it's kind of a similar type game.
We should totally fix that. Like, I think you would like League of Legends.
I don't know. I hear there's a lot of griefing in there.
Me. Well, you can play it without that. Like, I haven't experienced a lot of that, and I have a lot of fun playing it. You can do co-op versus AI, which is where you have a group of humans versus bots, and that community is generally very, very, very happy.
Yeah.
I mean, I got from level 1 to level 30 on my account, and I had all 3 of the little honor ribbons because after every single game, those guys are like, wow, you let me get a kill on a bot. Have some honor. And it's like, plus teamwork, plus friendly.
Well, I think afterwards, everybody, like, I don't know if you noticed, but the last couple times I've played, there was like a limit to how much friendly or honored or whatever you could give out in a day.
Well, you get 2 honors to hand out for every game you play. And the system was meant to be, you give 1 honor to an opponent who is particularly honorable and 1 to a teammate that was particularly honorable. So they just accumulate by game.
I think the only non-Warcraft Blizzard game I've played in it remotely recently is Hearthstone.
Hearthstone is an interesting game. Like, I really dig the concept of the expansion that they're going to do. Like, they're going to do Naxxramas, and it's going to be like a PvE raid.
In a card game?
Yeah, totally.
Weird.
I think that's the response to Hex.
Totally, it is. But,
I'm bad at card games.
Especially, the thing is they're doing the right thing, especially since the PvE element of Hex looks like it's going to be delayed for a while. So
that's the whole reason I did the slacker backer option on that was for that specific thing, and it's yet to be put in.
Right, yeah. I mean, I'll play the people in our little circle that are in, but I can't see myself doing a lot more than that. Like the draft system seems like it got nerfed. Like for a while, you were pretty much guaranteed that if you won like at least a couple games, you were going to come out of the draft system with way more cards than you went into it. But it seems like they may have nerfed that, or at least Kodra was talking about that, that it sounds like it's not as beneficial as it was. I know in Hearthstone, you're better off just buying packs than entering the their draft system. Because people have spreadsheeted it out, and you end up with way more cards through just buying packs than through actually winning the drafts. And I think that's kind of what's happened in Hex. Is they're kind of making it so that you pay for the right to do a draft, but you're not necessarily going to come ahead.
I would say I would actually probably do the drafts because I've played a little bit of Magic, and I've done like draft on Magic for Magic the Gathering. So I'd probably be willing to put down some money to do a draft on Hex once it's released.
Well, the cool thing about Hex Draft is, okay, so you kind of have a split purpose there. Is you either one are trying to build a really good, hand, or you can also kind of cherry pick cards you want normally, because you get to keep everything that you draft. So you can use it as a way of kind of filtering out the cards that you don't want.
Oh yeah, it's the same as Magic drafting. Is they pass around I think each person, when you buy in, you get 3 unopened booster packs, and you open one at a time, and you take a card and you pass that pack around.
Yeah, it sounds like it works pretty much exactly the same way.
Interesting.
Yeah, so like what the strategy, what the first time I went, they were telling me to do is, it's like if you open a pack, like the first card you get is like there's a really like a rare foil card or a planeswalker, something really valuable. Just take it. Doesn't matter if you're going to use it. Just take it.
Yeah, because you're going to walk with that anyway.
Yeah.
And you can always, even if you lose the draft, you can trade it off later. I don't think they have item trading in yet, which kind of sucks since, like, I figure all of us are going to want slightly different things.
I'm thinking of Hearthstone. I was thinking they had a way to break down a card, but that's Hearthstone.
Yeah, that's Hearthstone. Like, right now, I'm focusing on the bunny deck.
I have the deck I started out with was a dwarf deck, but I actually bought some cards and made a red deck, and I played against the AI, and with one card the entire game, I decimated the AI because it was a card that every time you tapped like a gem, you would add so much damage to it. So eventually, my one card had like 20 damage on it.
Oh wow, yeah,
truly outrageous.
The card that I always try and get on the table as the Shinhar or Shinhair or however you pronounce it is my Concu bunny. So it's like it's this breeding bunny, and every turn it puts a random bunny card out on the table. And when I read that, like when they had that site that had a bunch of the information up, like I thought this is a good card until I played it in person, and it's like named bunny cards. I figured it was like a hopper token, but no, like you get cards that have their own effects, just played out for free. So
that seems really broken.
It's amazing. Like it's expensive. It's a really expensive card, and it basically makes it a giant bullseye on the board. But if you've got a deck that feeds off of these bunny cards, it rocks. Like there's no better card.
Bunny's gotta eat.
Well, like the whole thing about the bunny deck is like you can, they buff each other, and then you can like sacrifice the bunnies to do other things. They're not friendly bunnies. They're evil bunnies.
Evil, like your shield.
My shield has an evil bunny on it. It's true.
It gets slightly eviler every time you level.
Yeah, it does, which is pretty awesome. Like I won't lie, that's the reason why I like the dark elf look.
I wish I was better at card games. I don't know. I'll usually get one good game at the beginning, out of beginner's luck, but then when I try to make a strategy, I end up losing horribly.
I'm anxious to see that one go open. Since it's going to be free to play. Like right now we got a fairly limited pool of people playing it. I think it will be a game that benefits from the more people that can play it.
Yeah, I haven't even tried Hearthstone yet. I've watched a lot of people play. I've watched Bez play.
I've played Bez. I've lost a couple and won a couple. It's a fun game, but it's almost too fast paced for me. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm decent at it, but I'm not as good at Magic type games as I used to be.
I'll admit I've spent way too much money on Magic trying to get back into it, and yet to actually go back to the store to play people.
Every so often, like I'll pick up a starter deck or something like that when they come up with a new expansion. Like, because I primarily focus on black. Like, I will play black and anything else, but I'm always playing black.
I think the last time I played was at South by Southwest back in March.
Were they doing like a Magic demo?
Well, they had it in the Gaming Expo Center. They had like the entire middle area was like Wizards of the Coast type, like a bunch of their different games, but you could go and pay $10 and just sit at a table, and people could just come and challenge you. Like they did have demo decks where like you could go, like if you've never played it, they'll give you a deck and you play one of their employees. They'll teach you how to play. But if you already knew how to play, you could basically enter the league and just sit at a table and just play anybody you wanted. And every time, if you won your game, you'd walk over to the booth, say, "Hey, I beat this guy." You'd get 2 randomly drawn cards from a little box, and
that's cool.
Yeah, so just and I just got to the point where I was playing. I had a bunch of cards, and even though I won a couple, I just let the other person have my cards.
Good guy, Dallian.
Well, I also had limited space to carry stuff back with me, so I I mean, granted, okay, a playing card is not that much extra space.
But we have enough of them.
Yeah, I mean, I already had like
you've got
2
like an
deck
entire
boxes
box
worth of
full of them. Yeah.
Yeah, I had like the deck builders box full of like 5 different decks that I had built.
It quickly comes to the point where you're looking for a UPS so you can mail it home.
Yeah, that's kind of like, okay, if I were to ever take my comic book collection anywhere, I'd probably need a moving van.
A forklift.
Pretty much. I have a lot of comic books in my closet.
So
I mean,
my
I'm
comic
still-
books are somewhere back home, and my bedroom has flooded, so I'm pretty certain that they're gone. So I don't know. Like, I'm afraid they're gone. Like, I had a bunch of fairly rare comics that are not necessarily valuable anymore, but man, at the time they were super valuable. Like New Mutants 75, original copy.
Probably the most valuable comic book I own is in my bedroom on like my headboard of my bed, and that is the issue of Wolverine where he gets his adamantium ripped out by Magneto.
Oh yeah.
I have the foil card cover of that.
My
With the foil
favorite
cards filled out.
series of Wolverine comic books was after he had lost the adamantium and had the bone claws. And he had like lost his regeneration and he had the weird bone claws again.
You know, I was actually talking to Thalen at the comic book store last Wednesday, and they're going to be killing Wolverine off.
Oh my god, seriously?
Well, Marvel killing, so he'll probably be gone for like a year, and then they'll be like, well, this is a mistake, we're going to bring him back.
Man,
now he's new Wolverine.
I feel like killing any superhero is a bad idea.
Well, I mean, they just recently brought back Peter Parker in the Amazing Spider-Man. Like, for the last 2 years, it's been Doc Ock in Peter Parker's body.
What?
Oh,
And-
God.
And now, just last week was the first, they relaunched Amazing Spider-Man at #1, where Peter Parker finally got his body back.
No,
No,
I think every so often they just get bored and they have to screw shit up for a while.
I will admit I was not a whole big fan of the way they did that, but the guy who wrote the title was Superior Spider-Man. It was very well done, and Peter Parker wasn't like gone. He was kind of there as like the conscience, but you have to read. There's like only like 30 issues, so
I admittedly don't read many comics anymore. Like I haven't in a long time. I used to work in a comic shop, and I don't know. Like after the fall of comics, post Image era, I really haven't read a lot of comics regularly.
Pretty much the only one I buy regularly is Spider-Man. I've kind of fallen behind all the other ones I used to buy.
I don't think I'm old enough for comics.
They have some pretty mature comics books, Ray, and I think that you would not want to read those.
Actually, like there's a really good. Have you seen the Humble Bundle? The Humble Image Comics Bundle?
I did see that, and I have been considering putting down some money to get those books because I've been interested. I've heard good things about Saga, but I've never read it.
Yeah, like there's some really good looking comics on that. Let's see, I'm opening it now. East West, first 5 issues. Fatale, Volume 1, first 5 issues. Lazarus, Volume 1. Morning Glories, I've heard a lot of good things about. That's first 6 issues. Saga, Volume 1 and 2, heard good things about that. Know nothing about Revival. Chew, I've heard good things about.
That was I've actually read probably the first few volumes of that, and I heard something today that they were going to be making a animated show or something based on it.
Yeah, that's what I'd heard too. Like that's going to be weird.
Yeah, because one of the characters is the love interest of the main character, and apparently the person doing the voice is going to be Felicia Day.
Weird.
Aww.
Yeah, so okay, we have to talk about this. On Twitter, you have a persona.
Oh yes.
You are Dr. Hannah from the tabletop episode. So tell me exactly what I mean, obviously, it's a great episode of Tabletop, but what prompted you to go out and register the name?
I was sitting at work and I was just waiting for the episode to come out, and I watched it at work on my lunch break, and I was bored. And what do you do when you're bored? You do stupid things. So, I logged in, I got really lucky and got the first, I personally think if I'm going to spell Hannah, I'm going to spell it HANNAH, or however I have it spelled. And I got the first Dr._Hannah, I think that anybody else had made. There was like 4 or 5 at one time. I just got really lucky and got the name. But, I was just doing it because I was bored.
Yeah.
Like I said, I didn't really ever think it would last as long as it has.
So you have a feat that I will never achieve, in that you are followed by Felicia Day.
Yeah, and like I mentioned this earlier before we started the podcast. I still don't understand that one at all.
Yeah, it's
Feet of
Like she
strength.
was at South by Southwest, and I apparently missed her by like an hour. And she's like, "Hey, yeah, sorry I missed you. You know, I actually probably could have met her at one point."
that's hilarious.
And then never wash that hand again.
No,
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, no. Dallian's not that creepy. Come on.
No, I'm not that bad.
That's not creepy.
That's just funny. Like, it still cracks me up. Like, I did not know that was you until you told me it was you. Like I had that account follow me. I had no idea who it was until I think when we were playing Final Fantasy, you mentioned who it was.
I can't remember, when I exactly told you, but yeah, because at first it's like I don't follow that many people, and at first it was only some gaming stuff and like Geek and Sundry and Fleece Day.
Well,
and
that
Louise
was
and
what
stuff
was
like that.
weird about it, is like when you started following me on that account, I'm like, this is weird. Like, the accounts that this person follows, like, why the hell did they pick me?
What's strange and like kind of funny to me is I think a lot of people follow that account thinking I'm actually like somebody who works at that for Geek and Sundry.
That's
I'm not,
hilarious.
and I get so many bot followers that are like, "You're a real doctor. I'm gonna pharmaceutical." I'm like, I'm not a doctor. I barely got a degree.
Oh my
Yes, let me show you my operating table.
God. You're not Mr. Hannah, you're Dr. Hannah.
Yeah, I mean it's like I'll steal your thing and be like, "Yeah, I have the van down by the river." know?
Oh God! Like, I was some like a hemorrhoidal cream or something posted a comment on my blog this week.
What?
Yeah, like I get the weirdest spam. Like Akismet has blocked over 300,000 spam on my blog, and every so often one of them gets through, and like one of them was something about a hemorrhoidal cream.
I don't think I've gotten any of those on mine yet, but I mean I've only been posting for like a week.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, the amount of spam that happens when you have a blog is just ridiculous.
It's like that social media video. Someday it'll just be robots tweeting to the robots.
Of course, we had no original ideas.
I think somebody actually wrote a program for Twitter that does that.
It'll go talk to other bots and follow bots.
Yeah, it's kind of like a bot identifier.
That's funny.
Genius.
Well, at this point, we have gone a little over an hour, and that's a pretty good time for the show. Thank you so much, Dallian, for filling in. It was fun.
Yes.
I would gladly have you back at any time that you want.
Whenever you want, I'm usually free.
Okay, before we close this off, where can people find you?
Well, obviously the Dr. Hannah Twitter account is where I'm usually posting things. That's probably my only public social media.
Well, and you also have a blog now, so plug your blog.
Yes. Dr. Hannah .wordpress whichever one you use for WordPress. I think it's .com.
And Ray hates Twitter, but
I don't hate Twitter. Twitter hates me.
Where can we find you otherwise?
I don't know.
This podcast, I guess.
Yeah, that's kind of my footprint at this point.
Yeah. For me, you can either follow me on at Belghast on Twitter, or you can check out Aggrochat.com for my blog, and pretty much everything else I do is linked from there. It was a fun show. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. We will see you next week.
Goodbye.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.